You want to know more about my collectible life and how I create the book? It's just right after this. Hello and welcome for a new Chronic Vintage. Today I will go through my collector's life from childhood to present. But above all, I would like you to subscribe to my channel by clicking to the bottom right here. It will allow me to give you more information about vintage Star Wars toys. In this video, I'll go back almost half a century of collection from the childhood to the book's creation. Step by step, I'll go back with my first souvenir with our beloved far, far away galaxy, plus the creation of the book when it popping through my mind with the QR code video from the YouTube channel. Let's go now back in 1977 where the whole story begins. Everything began in October 1977 when my parents decided to bring me to the theater in Paris. Because they are the first fan in a family and saw Star Wars a few days before, they thought it might be the kind of film that their son will enjoy. The second surprise was my first encounter with Star Wars toys in spring 1979. When I understand you could recreate your favorite movie with toys, that changed everything. In the late 70s, France got only 3 TV channels with no chance to watch Star Wars and very few video stores around. Also, people didn't really have VCR at home, so toys were the best way to jump into light speed to get back to your favorite galaxy. No need to ask what Santa have to bring for Christmas and the rest of the family for birthdays. The answer is easy to find. Star Wars toys to complete my collection until teenage time. That contract was fully fulfilled by my parents. My mother bought me my 2 first action figures, and she was always looking for good deals around local toy shop, retail store in our neighborhood, and keeping an eye on original malls. During his business trip abroad, my father never hesitated to bring me wonders like Tonton, who came from Belgium and was hidden under the Christmas tree in 1980, and the land of the Jawas that Santa cleverly had in his hood from a journey in England and was delivered the very same year. During a trip to Hong Kong in fall 1983, Dad will come back with many action figures in his suitcase, like Jabba's creature Nikto, who was already available in retail store called Peter Pan, franchise equal to Toys R Us in the British colony, 3 months before its international official release in 1984. Tonton was really cool, and its box was really convenient to pack all my action figures packaging. That way I was able to keep on track the missing figures by marking the one I already got on the cardback photo figures. It was an easy way to follow Kenner Toy Line action figures year after year. From spring 1983, all figures packaging came with a Return of the Jedi logo and the cardback photo with 45 action figure plus the following frustrating sentence underneath action figures photo. All action figures names stamped with a star are not available in France. You can imagine how annoying it was for the young kid who saw 8 new action figures but with no possibility to get them. Unlike most of the European countries, General Mills' French subdivision Miro Meccano didn't import the entire Kenner toy line in France. If you take for example the Millennium Falcon, which was available in the States back in 1979 and shown at Paris Toy Fair in 1980 and displayed in 1980 Meccano retail store catalog, you had to wait until fall 1983 to get a great number of sales all over the country for this major spaceship of the saga. With the new chapter released on October 19 in France, Meccano will start to reboot the sales with many advertisements and sweepstakes in Kids magazine. If you want to get the first prize to get a ticket at Return of the Jedi Paris premiere, you had to create the end of the storyline of that small comics, and following winners could also get action figures and vehicles, but the opening of the common European market in 1984 with multilingual packaging release will finally open the possibility to get most of the toy line like most of the European countries. Summer 1984, a school friend of mine sent me a postcard from his vacation place to tell me how happy he was to finally get the Death Star droid, AT-AT Commander, Zuckuss, and TIE Fighter pilot that he was looking for so many years. The funny thing is we had so many toys available, But when the movie were out of theater between 1984 to 1986, 1986 is that very year I stopped collecting Star Wars toys for doing other things. In 1989, I had that curious idea to put back all my toys in my bedroom with the envy to collect what I missed as a kid. Late 80s is definitely not the best time for chasing Star Wars toys because of the lack of general interest for George Lucas' creation. Going back to the childhood toy shop, nothing much left, only a few things like this. Ewok catapult, a few action figures, many Ewoks character, but always the same figure. In summer 1989, a friend of my dad wanted to fill my bedroom newly redecorated with action figures, vehicles, and that videotape survived, and here is a short footage about what my bedroom looked like 34 years ago. The bedroom is ready now to welcome new items, but I cannot complete my collection with the actual resources. Fall 1989, I decide to send a letter to Kenner to ask them if by any chance they still have some items, some toys available. But to answer my mail, even by airmail, you need at least 2 or 3 weeks to get an answer back. I did receive many answers, but all were negative as Kenner was running out of stock, and I wrote to Tonka in England, who was dealing in Europe for Kenner, but the answer was the same on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. Same thing with San Diego Banter Track fan club, as the letter sent a few weeks before came back to me with a no Star Wars above the classic return to sender stamp. A New Hope will take me by surprise, while out both a Star Destroyer model kit as the content includes a subscription flyer to the Lucasfilm fan club. I sent back my subscription as fast as possible, and a few weeks later I was really happy to find information about the Star Wars saga with really great behind the scene article, an amazing collector like Steve Sansweet and his most impressive Star Wars collection, and advertising from dealers and fans. Because of the Lucasfilm fan club, I got in touch with Steve Denny, a great toy collector who published a catalog called SOS Star Wars with many Star Wars items and a lot of Kenner toys. With Steve, I could complete what was missing from my collection as a kid, figures and vehicles, but also incredible items like Revenge of the Jedi proof card. It was for me an amazing privilege to access to such a pre-production items like those Revenge of the Jedi proof card and also Empire Strikes Back proof card action figures. Year after year, I carry on making new contact with other fans, and once I met Tom Naheisel, former Kenner employee at the marketing department, who left the company with many archives that were supposed to be destroyed, but Tom was able to save most of them. With Tom, I was able to complete 80% of my mint-on card action figures collection, and I will also be lucky to get a few pre-production items like this unpainted Luke Skywalker hot battle gear in a baggie, and the very same figure with color this time, but no COO on the back of the legs, as this particular figure was made in Cincinnati for test approval. When I started my job life in September 1990, I discovered a comic shop in Paris, and one of them, called Les Éditions DS, gave me the chance to get my 2 first books about collectible toys. The first one was Space Adventure, and the second one was Star Trek and Star Wars Collectible. With those 2 books, I can understand the whole range of figures and vehicles sold out in the States. Because of DS comic shop, I could get also my very first action figures with a Power of the Force packaging. With a M&M figure, I understand the whole range of figures sold out in 1985 compared to the European packaging, who were not updated at that time with the 1985 range of figures. Winter 1999-1982, I wrote for the first time about my collectible life to my overseas friend who helped me to grow my toy collection. I started by drawing some scene with spaceships to know how to set my future photo shooting. Then I wrote and translated in English what will be the final text to readers for understand what the French market at the time was, completed with my childhood souvenirs. The main idea was to show the packaging difference between France and the States, as French and English language was the major variation. Only a couple of toys were different, but nothing more. Once all the texts were checked and printed, I was adding the picture with glue, and without really noticing it, I was getting my first step into graphic layout in a very basic way, but still, I will keep the same work process habit for all my future projects. In 1994, I started to travel in England to do my first Star Wars convention, and I will go twice a year during the 90s to meet actors and people who worked on the original trilogy. It was a really great opportunity to see and talk to those people who made us dream in the late 70s and early 80s. In 1997, the encounter with Star Wars Freeborn was a wonderful one when the man who sculpted Yoda was explaining his way of work and all what he did for the film industry. He was so happy to share his knowledge with us, and it will remain one of my best souvenirs I ever had during all these trips to England, like this unforgettable replay on stage of the beginning of Star Wars when stormtroopers attacked Princess Leia blockade runner spaceship before an enthusiastic, fully crowded theater in Watford, West Side London. In the mid-90s, Star Wars is back with Lucasfilm new trilogy announcement, and Kenner toys are also back in retail store shelves all over the world. In '96, I decided to create a small mail-away catalog in black and white, and then I was posting ads in antique or flea market magazine to get in touch with people, and when they phoned me back, I was able to send them a copy of that catalog. In Christmas '97, I was even able to create cover and a few pages in colors, which was at the time a real challenge for me. For 2 years, I buy and trade, but above all, it allows me to make contact with other fans. Contact, I kept that ever since. With the coming of the years 2000, I started to create a more precise inventory of my collection, which has grown pretty much in the past 10 years. I bought some star case to protect carded action figures and started to display my collection in a proper room with large homemade furniture. It allows me to show all my action figures on one display and store larger boxes toys underneath figures display, and to take larger vehicle out like the AT-AT anytime I want to. Keep focus on two collecting main theme, Kenner toy line and its French subdivision Miro Meccano, and the internet helps a lot to get contact with many online toy shops to acquire new items for my collection. Between 2005 and 2012, I reshoot my toy collection to add extra pictures that will become the basic data for the first draft of the book published in 2022. I'm making several test layouts with different book sizes to check what could be the best way to display my toy collection. I start to create my very first book layout and print my first mock-up after work in the evening and weekends, and the point of no return was the announcement of Disney taking over Lucasfilm at the end of 2012. With this brand new interest in the Star Wars saga and the announcement of the new trilogy, I thought it was time for me to publish my book about Kenner toy line, but I realized in the same time that 20% of the items I wish to show are missing in my collection. So I went back to the web to check them all, as the main idea of the book is to display every action figures, playset and vehicles as seen in the Star Wars original trilogy. This last archive job will take me a few more years, and once the inventory is complete, I'll start to work on a proper graphic layout by creating a dummy blueprint to give future readers clear understanding of the toy's proportion with picture of new and loose item. Next step is to shoot 300,000 pictures to create the main database for the book, and when the first mock-up is ready on my computer, I print a thumbnail and hang it on the wall of my living room to get a global view of the book. In October 2017, I showcased my work to a French publisher who liked the book very much, wanted to publish it, but the new Lucasfilm owner is not interested in my project, so I understand that if I want to see my dream come true, I will have to look on the self-editing side. At that point, there's still a lot to do to get a proper layout to get printed, so I decide to make a few quotations with graphic designer, but when I add graphic budget plus printing budget, I realize I can't afford these two important key step into the book process. Spring 2018, I come up with the idea to get the QR code video for each toys. That's the kind of job I can do by myself. I have all the video equipment I need, I have my YouTube channel, so meanwhile saving money for the printing job and the layout, I can do the video. But what I didn't see coming through is it took me 3 years to do the 160 video needed for the book. To do the videos, I'll draw first a lot of storyboard with every frame to present the toy in order of appearance for each item's part. Vehicles or playset instruction sheets help to get many information to display on video. I had to build a larger set for shooting the videos. I shoot every side of the box with different angles and the actual item with packaging content and an action figure scene. Not always easy to get the right shot in the first time, especially when Greedo doesn't want to get shot or where the sandcrawler did change direction on his own. At the end of the shooting session, I was shooting instruction with me on the front of the shooting scene, and I was doing the same thing with a green screen to add any kind of background picture. Once shooting done, I do a voiceover recording session in English and in French. Then I add music, check color frame to complete the final editing. When the video is done, it's uploaded on my YouTube channel. With COVID-19 pandemic, I was out of work. So I decided to go back to school to learn graphic and web design to be able to do the graphic layout by myself. After 9 months of training and a degree in the pocket, I was able to get a proper layout to get ready to print, and a video promotion to do the Kickstarter in August 2021 to collect the budget I need to print the book, the only part I could not do by myself. Meanwhile, working on the final printing layout, I was looking for more information on Kenner's history and the man behind the Star Wars storyline success in the Cincinnati's company. This book you will find when Kenner was created, its first toy success, how Bernard Loomy became Kenner's CEO and his incredible career in the toy industry. I also have privilege to meet Jim Shringen, key designer at Kenner who believed in the Star Wars project from the very beginning and made it happen between Kenner and Fox Lucasfilm at the time, and many information about the toy line evolution during 8 years. To forget the two wonderful forward by Gus Lopez and Duncan Jenkins, thank you guys for your great support to the project. And last but not least, correcting spelling mistake before sending the book for printing. We are now ready to print. This is not the end of the project yet. Fall 2021, shortage of raw material like paper pulp creates such a delay that the one who should be under the Christmas tree in 2021 was delivered with Easter eggs in spring 2022. But better late than nothing, and here's a short video about the long-awaited delivery. It is a big relief when the very first book arrives at home. Even if the excitement is here, I have to be really careful when I open the cardboard box who contain the books. (2012, 2022, 10 years have passed from the day I thought, let's do it, and the day I hold the copy in my hands and turning the first pages. to see the final result, feel the paper touch of the actual book, and tested the QR code with your cell phone is a moment that I will not forget. A dream come true, and that's the best reward I could ever possibly get. Ils sont là. Coupé. C'est génial. This is it. Mission accomplished. All books are now sold out, and some of you already asked me if more books will be available in the near future. Right now I'm dealing with some printing company in the States to organize a second run for the domestic market. The target is to get the book printing during summer for you to get your copy available for Christmas time, for example, at the end of the year. When quotation will be done, I will place a new page on my website chronicvintage.com for you to place your pre-order. Since September 2022, I had the chance to be invited to several conventions all over Europe, and I met in person Jim Scheringen in Nuremberg in Germany, and it was for me a great time, and I really hope to meet him more often with many more conventions. Some of you already asked me if more projects will be done, like a new book or something else. Right now, I'm working on a new project with somebody else. I'm not allowed to talk about it yet, but you'll be the first to know when I will be allowed to talk about it. For now, thank you again for watching that video. May the force be with you, and see you soon for a new Chronic Vintage.